So I uploaded some of the videos that were stuck on my phone. It was a give and take. I wanted to enjoy the show, but I also wanted to take videos for my channel. So I did not get too many videos of the layout that were long, but I made a whole bunch of short ones and blah blah. And I didn't do my customary wrap up video. It's just fine. Nobody needs to hear me blather on about my layout. People seen enough. So so as I was saying, is kind of one of the things about shows, Lego shows, this goes back to Brick Fest, and we did a lot at Brick Fet, and we did it in Brick World Chicago, and even Bricks in the Six, is that some of us, and I kind of not necessarily part of that group, but I have partaken in it. So most shows are at least Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Saturday, Sunday are the open public days where the public get to buy tickets to come in and see it. Just a quick tangent I forgot to mention was that the lights out section of Brickomanie was open to the public if you bought special tickets, which was fantastic. Normally, historically, lights out that I've witnessed is just for the fans and from VIP people. So I guess it has happened before in Brick Fet, and I think Jenny did that, but so maybe it has happened before. But so lights out at Brickomanie this weekend happened on Saturday at 7 p.m. and ran to 8, and people got to buy tickets for specifically that and come in and look at the stuff that's lit up. Yeah, I do seem to recall, again, bad memory that Janie used to do this for Brick Fet, but that was cool to have public there looking at the mocks, not just us, Lego geeks that were geeking out for the weekend. So, with the show and the convention as it is, the Brick Fet was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This was just Friday, Saturday, Sunday officially. Brick World was also Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and again usually Saturday, Sunday are public days. What happens is that Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, when people are done, well, not Sunday night because people are packing up to leave, but Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, there's usually a get together somewhere. It's an ad hoc get together after 10 p.m., 11 p.m. when all the official festivities of whatever the games and symposiums and whatever are done, is that people usually get together somewhere in the convention and just blather, talk, chit chat, whatever. It's happened all the time. Brick World, I remember the organizers invited specific people up to the suites that they were staying in, because they had the people who were running it had this ensuite that had a nice patio and balcony overlooking whatever, and so there'd be 20-30 of us, and because Brick World was a lot of old school people, hey Dave, come on along. So I got to be up there, and they talked 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning. Now I'm getting too old for that. But it's an expectation that when the show winds down for the day, that at some place, somewhere, people are going to gather and just catch up, because they only get to see each other once a year or whatever, and talk about stuff. So this was no exception to that rule. So I think it was Friday night. I don't think it was Thursday night, because the Thursday night was not officially there. Everybody was there. Only us. I had to be there because I worked all week. So Fridays, when the show started and opened up and allowed people to set up their stuff, and the convention started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so we went to 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night, and then all of a sudden, it's over for the day. See you tomorrow. And then some people stayed in the room, and people just kind of gradually petered out of the room, disappeared. But there was like 7 or 8 people. Previously, what you would see at a lot of brick festivals is that specific lugs or specific groups that have like a display mock for the entire group over there on the floor, over there on the floor, those guys will stay, and sometimes other people will join them, and they'll talk after the show and just sit there and talk, because they want to catch up with friends. So so you go into the display room after closing, and you'll see a group of people there and a group of people there, and some people are just still meandering around like me, checking out mocks when there's nobody around, taking a video, talking about videos like I just did the other day, which is a fantastic time to do it because there's nobody in the room besides 7 or 8 or 10 other people, and they're usually over there talking or over there talking, and there's just a few of us just meandering and with no interference at all. It's fantastic, just as you can spend all the details and time that you want with specific whatever you want to see, instead of like sharing the time with other people, which can be good. So Friday night was the same. I happened to be there still because again I was babysitting the mock for a little bit, trying to make sure it's ready for Saturday morning. Trying to get the big train working, didn't care. And so there's 7 or 8 people sitting over there, and I went over there, and again, I don't know what it is. I don't know if just people know me, that I just seem to be welcome wherever I go, which is fantastic, and I adore it. Dave, and then they sit down and they're talking, and they're talking about this. And it is a specific issue that this is a blessing, but also a huge curse of what happens to me. Is it's a confluence of a perfect storm of stupidity in my part. I'm oblivious to so many things. I'm literally oblivious to so many things. I usually, unless I don't understand subtlety. Sometimes I fully get subtlety, but in a lot of cases of people's feelings, subtlety is over my head. I don't know when people are flirting with me. I don't understand unless I can. There's palpable anger or happiness or whatever. I don't pay attention to it. I don't care. It's not that I don't care about your feelings. It's just that I don't have the wherewithal to go through my mind, my mental process, to realize that somebody's being subtly whatever towards me. Unless you come straight at me, and again, if you don't want to put the effort into coming straight at me, then I don't care. But beyond that, I don't have the mental capacity to start, because I overthink literally everything. So some things I just let slide. So. And I'm going to be very clear about this, being a cis hetero white guy has its ingrained built-in advantages, which I have actually seen without any subtlety, that just by being born a cis white hetero guy has its built-in advantages from the society that I live in. And I was not cognizantly or intellectually or consciously cognizant, maybe consciously aware of that for the longest time. But I always tried to not think that's the societal standard. I will say from when I was very, very early, young, very, very just a little kid, that I thoroughly enjoyed playing with Lego with my sister. Like, the memories in my head of me and my sister, me and my brother too, but me and my sister especially, of building all the time as kids with Lego. And my sister could build. She built fantastic stuff back then when we were kids. I never thought, she's a girl, she can't build Lego. It never even dawned on me to think that she is a female and she doesn't belong to this hobby. My sister was with me in the sandbox. My sister was with me in the treehouse. My sister was with me camping. She was exploring, going in the caves. My sister and I had a blast growing up together. My sister and I had so much fun, and she was, I never thought, oh, she's a woman, she can't get dirty with me. Are you kidding? My sister and I would dig forts out of the ground. And so I never got to the point, and all my cousins who are women would also be with me. So I never got, even growing up in the 70s and 80s, that women can't do specific things. My cousins were far better at sports than I ever was. I went and watched my cousin Patty and my cousin Melinda do basketball better than any guy I knew at the time. But I never did the comparison, guys versus girls. They were very good at basketball. I never thought, oh, but they're girls. They're good at basketball, period. So it was oblivious to me that there was a separation of the sexes, that women had to do this and women had to do that. It wasn't part of my growing up, women could do everything men could do, and it's never like there was a competition between the two sexes. And it wasn't until I became an adult when I really, and again, to be said, it was the sexism was all around me through the 70s and 80s because it was just built into the society. Like as far as I was told, women could not even have their own private bank account if they were married. Like they couldn't get a mortgage until the 60s or 70s. Like it was like you couldn't walk into a bank as a woman and say, I want to buy a house without a male signature on it. Like I get that was there, but my childhood, I like to think I never did. I like to think that I never treated women and the girls and boys and women and men separately, as women can only do this and men can only do that. But I knew it was there. I know it was there now, back then. And so I have a problem with this now. So the discussion around the 7 or 8 of us that were there was this just that. And again, I always come back to my Dave example, not mansplaining. Dave example of I dated a girl once. I dated a few girls. I dated a girl once that was a mechanic. Her dad was a mechanic at one of our truck shops, or school bus shops. He was the shop foreman of one of our truck shops. And I was there one time, and his daughter was helping in the shop, not sweeping the floor, but underneath with the again, I couldn't tell you a spark plug from a oil filter. Well, but she's working on school buses, these big diesel school buses, and she's one of the people that does that. And nobody in the shop thought, oh, she's just a girl, she can't do that. She was just doing the job like everybody else was in that shop. But then we started talking and we hit it off and we went for a few dates and it was fantastic. Lovely girl. And she had bought a 72, I want to say Barracuda, but I wouldn't tell a car from a car. But she had a muscle car from the early 70s that she had bought and fixed up and tuned up and got painted and did the whole thing herself. Again, if a guy does that, that's what's expected. My cousin Ricky, right? A girl does that and it's like, wow, a girl did it. Like, why couldn't she do that? What in your head says that she couldn't do what my cousin Ricky did? Like there should be nothing in anybody's head that says she couldn't buy an old wreck and fix it up and go to car shows. Like I don't even understand. I can't even understand the mentality that says women can't do that. I know women that could beat the crap out of me. But anyway, so we were dating, and she said, "Hey, Dave, I'm doing a car show in Shakespeare or whatever." So, oh, I'll come. So we get the lawn chairs. We're sitting in front of the car, and every single person that walked by who had questions about the car would look at me. Hey, what kind of Hemi, or I'm just throwing out names that I don't know about. What kind of what's the barrel carburetor stuff? I don't have a clue. She built this car. No, they were shocked. Every one of them was shocked. That very good looking girl sitting next to me, and she had the T-shirt of her car on her T-shirts. Like I can't remember. It was a cute little name that she, and I'm just a guy in a Star Trek shirt and shorts, sitting there with my sandals on. I know nothing about cars, but I'm dating her, and she's a wonderful person to hang out. I had to leave. I said, "Hun, I just can't sit here because she wasn't mad at me, but." They're all coming to me and I'm going, this is absurd. Like, I don't know a thing about cars. I can start them and I can drive them. And so I would, for the rest of the show, I just kind of meandered around and every once in a while I'll check down on her if she's okay and bring her an ice cream cone or something like that, whatever she did. But it was one of those little textbook examples, and that was gotta be 20 years ago now. Or, sorry, I've been with Sandy for 20. It's got to be 30 years ago now. It's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And to this day, the absurdity of that day sticks in my head. The absurd, just the base axiom of people's minds that it has to be the guy that did this, and that bothered me, and it bothers me to this day, in a general context. So the conversation around the little round table that we had going on there was because Deborah was there and a few other people there, some other women were there, and discussing that people will walk up to them, oh, is this your husband's mock? Are you kidding me? Deborah is one of the most prolifically awesome builders I've ever met. I cannot do what she does. Not a lot of people, men or women, can do what she does. It's the person, not the sex. Not, it's the person that does this. I don't claim my towers on behalf of the male race. It's like, we are people. It doesn't matter, male, female, and don't even get me started on the people who say it's binary. Because I'll tell you, the up and comers of all the genders are going to be just blowing the doors off of everybody else, because they have a passion built into them, because they have to right now battle against society for who they want to be or who they are, and defy the expectations of what everybody else wants them to be. Like that takes internal strength that I never had to have. There was no point in my life when somebody said to me, you can't be who you are. Nobody. Because I'm a cis hetero white guy. Cis hetero white guy. If you're missing one of those, people want you to be something else than who you are. And I'm going, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. White's irrelevant. Like, it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It doesn't matter what sex you are. It doesn't matter. Any of it matters. None of it matters. Be who you are. Nobody should ever, I mean, I know that we all have our root foundational axioms and assumptions that when you walk up to a person, that they, as they present themselves as who they are. I get that, right? I don't know if somebody who dresses like a woman is an actual woman, and I would say they are until they tell me otherwise. So, and if I walk up to somebody who's a man, who looks like a man, present themselves as a man, I'm going to treat them like a man until they tell me otherwise. I will say, at my age, at this, you kids get off my grass, that it is difficult for me to adapt my mind so it flows out naturally. When somebody said, and somebody at the show said they are they, that I had in my head, I had to think about saying they every time I talk to them. But that's my problem, not their problem. They are a they. They told me who they were. They said, I'm a they. Not a he, not a she. I'm a they. Perfect. And I respect that, and I honor that, and I'm happy that you are who you say you are, and that who you want to be. That's all I want for anybody. There should be no expectation from me to them to make them conform to my desires. Of course, I don't have to be, or anybody else's desires. If they tell you they're a they, then they're a they. Period. Full stop. There's no other discussion to be had. Now, all the other angst after that, when I'm talking to them, and I try to make sure that the pronouns are correct, that's just an adaptability thing on my part. I learned something new today, and now I'm trying to adapt my head to say they every time I talk to them, instead of saying he or she, because I'm so used to my entire 58 years saying he or she, and now it's a they, and that's perfectly acceptable and they had every right to tell me that, and I have every right to respect that, every responsibility to accept that from them. It's my responsibility to accept. I cannot put my whatever onto them. I have no, it's like when people dress the way they want to dress. I don't want you to dress like that. That's absurd. It's literally absurd. Or they're full of tattoos. Oh, you shouldn't do that. It's not my place to tell them what they should or should not be doing with their lives. It didn't cause me any harm. It's not making my life any more worse, the fact that they're a they. I'm not at all diminished myself because they are a they. They are a they because they are a they. That's just the way it is. Like the sun's the sun. They are a they. Was that like 20 years ago? I don't care what it was like 20 years ago. Doesn't matter what it was like 20 years ago. This is a better part of society now. This should be fully integrated in society, and people like me who have to wrap their minds around it, straight up I do, to be able to communicate effectively without stepping on toes, is a me problem, not a them problem. I was very, very impressed with them when I met them yesterday. They were making water art. They had a little. I forgot what they're called now. My mom used to have one, a board with all the paints on it, but it was just like a tray with all the little paints on it as watercolor. And she had this little 2.5 by 5 stencil paper, and she, see, there's a me again. They, that's me, that's my problem, not they problem. So they were walking around and they were actually painting Jeff's layout in watercolor. And it was, I'm looking at them and I'm looking at their watercolor and I'm going, wow, that's literally fantastic. So they had a passion, they have an artistic flair, they had the ability to do this very, very quickly with the watercolors. And then, there you go, Jeff, here's a painting I made of your castle. And I'm going, that's what should be the focus, not they. Oh, they shouldn't be called they. Their appreciation and their artistic flair and their hobby is what they want to talk about, not the fact that they want to be called they. I just have to be talking about that because I'm making a point. And so, and what I'm pointing out now is that the people who are not binary are up and coming into the hobby, and they get to be who they should have always been themselves, period. They should be able to be themselves wherever we go and whatever we do. They should have a safe zone, not to talk about safe zones, but they should not be confronted negatively because they are they. So that was my experience yesterday, right after the night before we had a talk about this, where Deborah and other women who were sitting around the table there, or sitting around the circle talking, that they've had experiences where people would walk up to them and said, "Oh, is this your husband build? Is this your boyfriend's build?" And I'm going, like, we're in the 21st century. Like, are you kidding me? People are still doing that. It's just this. And I get it. It takes a long time for society to change. I grew up in the generation of Ms., not Miss or Mrs. Ms. I am woman, hear me roar. I grew up in the 70s where that was really pushed on society, and there's a lot of pushback for that. I'm not saying where the trad generation started, but I think 1964 the book I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar was released, but in the 70s it became more commonplace, where women did not want to exude any kind of inference of ownership by men, because Miss and Mrs. is inherently, because it changes when you get married to a man. A man doesn't, I'm always going to be Mr. I'm literally, from the day I was born, today I'm going to die, I'm going to be Mr. David. Whereas a woman born to death back in the day, they were Miss until they got married, and then they're Mrs. So that's where the Ms. showed up. So nobody would know if they're married or not married, because it's none of your damn business unless they want to tell you if they're married. So that's the generation I grew up in, where women were actually putting their foot down and saying, I should be able to get a credit card. I should be able to buy a house. I should be able to get a mortgage without a male signature on a piece of paper. They wanted to have equality to men, not above men, but definitely not below men anymore. They want equality. And so that was the 70s and into 80s. And then all the furor at the beginning, all the Ms. generation. I lived through it. I was young and oblivious to most of it because I'm a 5-year-old. What do I care about that? But I lived through it. I remember seeing it on TV and the commercials and the news and blah, blah, and all another protests, burning bras, blah, blah, blah. I lived through it. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it, but I did live through it. And now here we are, a scant 50 years later, talking about basically the same thing, yet for other genders. And I can't believe it's exactly the same pushback against the Ms. generation. It is basically the same people who do not want to accept other people for who they are, not how they want them to be. Like the patriarchy of our society is so overwhelming. It's like a fish in the water. Like, it's just there. Western civilization, blah blah, all that other stuff. But it is so ingrained into us that even me, as a person who likes to be, ultra left liberal and whatever, I still have a tough time with they. I do, but that is a me problem, not a they problem. So that was the discussion, and again, I mentioned my little story about the car and just how absurd it is to me, but not to other people who want it to stay the same, status quo. I don't mind status quo when it's equality. I'm a very big fan that if we have equality, then that can stay the status quo. But when I see inequality, when I see injustice, when I see whatever that some people are deliberately put down or less of a stature than other people because of the ingrained institutionalized patriarchy, that's bothered me. It's always bothered me. And there's a few textbook examples. One with the car show, which is kind of, I don't know, cute little Dave stories. But other things have happened in my life that I have to step back and say, what are we doing here? Like, the patriarchy isn't anything that people should be espousing as a good thing. It really isn't. Look at what's happening across the border. Again, I'm not going to talk about it. but it's systemic and it's bad. And but I also would, I don't think I have to caution, at least in my lifetime, the rise of the matriarchy where the women run everything. I have no idea what that would be like, but I'll tell you, the patriarchy's done a piss poor job over the last bunch of years. In the end, they have. Oh, but we've got this and we got that, and look at the great big and this. I understand that, but look at the damage it has done to the person, to the id, to the actual people who are left behind. Like, we can talk about the wonderful advancements that Western society has had since Western society started becoming Western society. But let's talk about what it was built on: the Industrial Revolution, and the havoc that caused to nature, and the havoc that's caused to the person who was run over by the Industrial Revolution. The one thing that really still hits me to this day is the very last couple panels of Bloom County when the whole thing got paved over with asphalt, and that's progress. I'm not saying that we should all go back to living next to the water and scooping out things with a bucket and whatever, and hand pumping wells and stuff. Like, I get there's literally good to all the science and all the technology that we have, but there's also bad, and we ignore that. And that is also in the social sphere too, where there was good to a lot of stuff that's happened over the years, but the stuff that got paved over, the stuff that got pushed off to the side, the stuff that got ignored in order for the progress to happen, might not be a cost-benefit analysis that was a good thing in the end. And now when people are pushing back, because that should be the root thing for everything, is the person, the people. We shouldn't be pursuing technology just for the sake of technology. How is this going to make people's lives better? How? So let's just take that for example. How is me pushing my binary gender rules on them going to benefit society or them? It's not. Period. It's not going to make them happier, is it? It might make me happier because I only have to worry about two binary things, but that's not life. Life has never been binary. Like, literally, life has never been binary on anything. so it was an axiom. It was a base assumption that society had for the longest time, just like the society had for the longest time the base assumption that women had to get married and then become a wife and become a mother and then take care of the home and all that stuff. Women don't have to do that. My Aunt Persis, my great Aunt Persis, never got married. She was the executive assistant to one of the big, huge steel mills, the president of the company. She lived her entire life without a man, and she did a fantastic job doing it. She was a role model, but she never ever spouted it. She never ever touted it. She never wrote books about it, but she lived her entire life the way she wanted to live her entire life. And I just remember as a little kid being very, very admirable of who she was. She was a force to be reckoned with when something went wrong. She was a very beautiful, very lovely, very kind and considerate and compassionate woman. I have no idea about anything else besides her being my mom's aunt. So I always call Aunt Persis, and that she was lovely to us kids. She never got married. She never felt she had to get married. And she lived her life the way she wanted. She was very old when she passed away, and she lived a lovely life. So I want that for everybody. I want that. I want people to be who they are. I want society to accept them for who they are. And that's kind of, I'm going to end off on this because there was some textbook examples at this show where I'm caught off guard a little bit because, again, I don't see it a lot. And so when they tell me there are they, oh, okay, I'm going to adjust my mindset, try to work on it. There was, again, I'm not going to talk about this because, but there was another person at the show that I felt bad because I had such a tough time stumbling over my words talking about her. And I feel really bad because I really respect her and I love her family. And so I felt bad that I let a few slips in there and it bothers me. And they don't have to know. She doesn't have to know. But it bothered me because she deserves all the respect in the world for being who she is. And I adore her. I've met her a bunch of times now, and I think she's going to be a wonderful, wonderful builder in the future. I think she's going to go do great, wonderful things in the future for who she is and how she's already presented herself in the world. And she's already a force to be reckoned with. And I'm going to put my full support behind her, whatever she needs. But me being my age, I have a tough time sometimes just trying to get that in my head to say the right thing, because I'm known for saying the wrong things many, many times on almost anything. but I felt bad, and I humbly apologize for that, because she deserves all the respect in the world, and it takes courage, and it takes a knowledge of one's own self to be who you are in this society as who you are, because you're working against generations and centuries of patriarchy and binary and blah blah blah, and you're hitting your head against that wall, and you still need to desire to be who you are and stand up and say to the world, this is who I am. I never had to do that. And so I respect and revere and really, really, and again, I don't know, 99% of it, and all the efforts and all the cries and all the tears and all the angst and all the confusion and all that, I do not have a clue about that, but I know it's there, because society has a tough time adjusting to things that should have been done decades ago. But we'll get there. Hopefully in time to save more lives and make more people's lives better, because accepting people who they are makes people's lives better. And if people's lives are better for them, then your life's going to be better too. And this is esoterically talk about this. This is why socialism, bad word, naughty word, works in context of specific institutions, is that a rising tide lifts all boats. When more people are happy, the better society is going to be. If you're a publicly staunch libertarian, you're an idiot. If you're a private libertarian, I have full respect for you. But if you want to push your libertarian ideals onto the public sphere, you're just an idiot. You're an abjectly idiotic. You're an idiotic person, period, full stop. I do not want to privately pay for people for a fire department, because people aren't going to do that. They're going to lose their houses. I don't want to privately fund my medical stuff. I want, because I do have a good job, and I could probably afford insurance that the people in the U.S. pay to keep myself covered. But even with that, the overhead of administration. People are still dying even with insurance coverage. I want everybody in my society, all the people I know, rich or poor, to have the same access to healthcare that I have, so they can get better. Because when they're better, we're all better. Period. Full stop. When I don't have to worry about, oh, I broke my arm today, I wanted my emergency gallbladder operation, which I mentioned before, all that stuff. I didn't have to, oh, do I have the insurance coverage for it? Do I have to sign off on this bill of $10,000? It's ludicrous to me that we're having this discussion in the 21st century. It's like literally ludicrous to me. And I sit there and I'm going, what are we doing if we're having this conversation now and people are still balking against it? So I can't even talk to you. I can't even talk to people who are anti-socialist for government agencies to take care of people in society. That's the purpose of the government, is to take care of people in society. All people. If you want to go on your own and you want the money to whatever, then knock yourself out. But you're going to pay taxes so that the lowest common denominator, the lowest person who can't get a job, who has some sort of impediment, whatever it is. I lived through this. The wheelchair access spots in parking lots, as well as wheelchair ramps, were not around when I was a kid. Like, this is my lifetime, by the way. You guys think it's all you young kids. Oh, you young kids, you think it's like it's built into society. No, none of that was there back in the 70s. There was literally no wheelchair parking anywhere that I saw in the 70s. None whatsoever. And then started coming into the 80s. There was never a wheelchair spot next to the store. None. There was no wheelchair ramp up. None. Like, literally none. I can go in. We fixed that. But I also remember the people, oh, I can't believe my taxes are going to this. You're putting this wheelchair ramp in for 0.001% of the population. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We are dedicating our taxes for that 0.001% of the population who need it. Because you know what? They need it. Us cis, hetero, white, fully healthy guys with 2 legs can walk up the stairs, but the guy in the wheelchair can't. Like, get your head out of your ass. Like, seriously. And again, I've mentioned this already in this conversation a few times. I have a tough time getting my head wrapped around it, but that's a me problem. It really is a me problem. It's nobody else's problem but mine. And that's just because I'm 58 and I'm so used to saying X, Y, and Z, then I have to also say A, B, and C when it's appropriate. So that's just a learning curve for me. That's it. It's no sweat off their nose that I have to have like whatever. That's what it is. I accept people as they are. I love people as they are, and I rejoice in people as they are, and their hobbies and their interests and who they present themselves as. Why wouldn't I? I don't understand why you wouldn't rejoice in that. The world is varied. The differences make us a better society. And again, in this hobby, as I keep on mentioning, I'm walking around the floor Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm walking around the floor, just leaving my lane alone, walking around the floor, and I'm looking at all the various building techniques, all the various interests, stuff that I don't even understand, like a lot of Japanese animation, all the different ideas and stuff that you could sit there right now and offer $1 million and say, Dave, build something like that. And I say, I couldn't even begin to build something like that. I don't have the wherewithal to build something like that. I don't have the history. I don't have the love. I don't have the passion. I don't have the whatever they got. And again, I use this analogy. Again, it's a real life analogy. I got that 918 when I was 11 years old for Christmas, and I wanted, when I was, I said this a lot for every show, but it's actually truthful. I wanted a place for that minifig, that specific minifig in 1978, to live and work and do his job. Not just the one set. I wanted a whole, because I was watching Space 1999. I was watching Battlestar Galactica. I was watching Buck Rogers. I was watching Star Trek, obviously. I was watching Forbidden Planet. I was watching 2001: A Space Odyssey. I was reading Asimov. I was reading Clarke. This was my passion. That layout has been in my head since I was 11 years old. I didn't know it was going to look like this. And again, time, space, and money, it'd be much bigger than it is now. But it's exactly what I wanted. I didn't know that when I was 11, but when I look at it, it takes me being back to 11 years old. So other people have other passions, and they want to present that passion using Lego bricks. And I'm here for it. Whatever that passion is. It's literally astounding to me that we are stopping people from being who they are, from loving who they want to love, from loving what they want to love. I don't understand this at all. Nobody's ever stopped me. Like literally nobody in my entire life has told me I couldn't be who I am. Because who I am fits right into society. But I think in 50 years, who other people are also going to fit into society, and I wish it happened 50 years ago so we didn't have to go through it now. Because I want us, because instead of them focusing on trying to get themselves noticed, or not even noticed, because nobody wants to be noticed in the spotlight, but to have society accept them for who they are, they cannot focus their energies on their passions. They're too busy trying to tell society, this is who I am. Please accept me. Please, please accept me for who I am. I'd rather have them focus on their passions, their loves, their outreaches, like I get to without anybody stopping me. They're so busy trying to be who they are and having society accept them that they can't do the fun stuff, the beautiful stuff, the artistic stuff. I mean, they do. They fit it in there, but they also have to fight to be who they are, and that literally bothers me so much that they cannot be who they are. You be who you are. I got your back. I might slip up and say something stupid that I feel guilty about. I might misname you. But it's not on purpose. That is my fault, not your fault. Nothing you have to worry about. I have to get there. And it's just because I'm old and crotchety and get off my grass. And also, I'm oblivious. And it takes me a long time to learn things. It takes me a long time to adapt to things. So none of that's your problem. At all. You be you, and I'm going to support you as I can. I'm going to support your family as I can. I love your family, and you're fantastic. Again, I'm not going to drop names, but that's it. That was a long, holy crap, 41 minutes. That's it. That's all. I'm probably going to talk about other things about the show when it comes across my head. To sum everything, it was literally a fantastic show. Every one of my shows has been fantastic. I love this one. I'm not going to say it was the best one ever. That's absurd for me to say because every time I leave a show, I think it's the best one ever. So I had a really good time. Etienne, Eric, all the other organizers, Etienne's mom, and everybody else that ran it, and all my friends that I got to see that I mentioned here and did not mention here, and I'm sorry I forgot to mention you here. You were fantastic. I'm glad I got to be with you for a weekend, and I'm going to do this again, obviously, and screw up again, because that's what I do. But thank you for a fantastic weekend. It was absolutely lovely, and let's do it again sometime. That's it. That's all. I will talk to you soon.